Hi, Sergey. You okay?
Hello. Rico.
Hi, today's moderator is Mru. So I'll just pass the moderator right to Mru.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. And let's change our screen to make it more relevant for this event. Okay. First of all, welcome everybody. Actually, let's not change the screen. Let's keep it live. So today's event is about deep tech, and we are going to explore what I call anything from space to a hot topic for everyone during COVID times is health. Okay, so health being at the number one, and then people managing their finances and wealth during COVID and post-COVID times, because survival now is tough. So being hot, let's kick off today. I'm absolutely delighted to invite some friends over here like Dmitry Kaminskiy. Welcome, Dmitry, and Gary Fowler. So we are from Asia. I'm in Spain, UK, America, Russia, Malaysia. So a truly global panel. Let's kick off. So what we'll do is keep it short, quick 5 minutes on your vision of the sector we have talked about. And then for the second half, I will do some questions and keep a debate going, okay? Is that all okay, guys? Great. Sure. So let me kick off. So let's look at the finance and banking area, and I will cover the vision right at the end. But the way I see it is a lot of people losing jobs, a lot of companies going bankrupt, and a lot of people are now forcibly having to look after their health and their wealth. And in this journey, what I see is people having to almost compulsorily start doing online banking, to online ordering, to a lot of digital and digital transformational ways of survival because of lockdowns or various other reasons. So, you know, some of us who are already in this game for many years, we've been doing online. For us, it's business as usual. If anything, we've become that much more productive. So what I think is absolutely apt is the way we see digital banking, it's going to be a total disruptor. And 5 years ago, I said 50% of the online street banks that we see or bricks and mortar types of businesses will disappear. It's already started happening. 5 years ago, I also said a lot of these retail stores will go out of business. It's already happening. In fact, I said it 20 odd years ago during my sunmicrosystems.com days. And I know Gary and me, we go back in those days, so we can remember absolutely that when we had that vision, it's already happening. But less from me, and I want to hear a little bit more from you, and I'll chip in all the way. But let's start with you, Rico, and let's look at the whole side with you talking about not what we usually talk about on other panels that we are on, about banking and blockchain and crypto and all that. Let's get focused on the stem cell side of things today with you, okay? Far away, stage is all yours.
I was about to say most of the guys are not building well because they keep the currency in the current currency they have, and they didn't diversify the investment into like what? Gold? Was it, Mru?
Yes, thank you, gold. No, balanced portfolio.
Yeah, but I would say today, most of people would not invest so much into those things. They will invest into themselves, especially the health.
Correct.
And speaking to some of my friends who are at their 50s, 60s, 70s, when they have really, most of them have achieved financial, freedom. And what matters to them is having more quality of life. So that is one of the major reasons why Sanctum, our company, invested into stem cells, healthcare, wellness sort of treatment, because we saw that niche market where it's still a very regulated environment where many countries do not allow the injection or use of cellular treatment, especially human cellular treatment. So we were quite fortunate to be offered the opportunity to be involved in one of the stem cells company in Malaysia that got the CGMP approval by the Ministry of Health. And then we realized after some due diligence that's not a single approval being given in all the Southeast Asia countries, because most of the health department or director of health, they do not know much about this tech in stem cell and what stem cell can be used on. So talk about the manufacturing plant of human stem cell, they have no idea how to regulate it. So fortunately enough, we work with a company that has been invested into this sector and spent about 3 years to acquire the license and build the lab facilities. That gave us a lot of confidence. They've also managed to secure about 74 patents surrounding the use of stem cells on human, with clinical trial done on more than 21,000 human, treating different diseases such as diabetic, cardiovascular issues, neuron issues, including blindness, and also IVF treatments, including fertility issues. And during the COVID period last year, a lot of stage 3 patient was actually using a stem cell to actually get recovered. So that gave us a lot of confidence that moving forward, this sector is very important in terms of people growing older and also preserving health and staying healthy. So we started this venture last year back in Malaysia, where I was stuck in. And the development was remarkable. Not only we realized that we can do stem cell treatment, we can also help to boost the natural killer cell count in our client. And besides that, we realized that because of the manufacturing capability of our team and also the medical practitioners we have, we were able to move into other sectors such as aesthetics as well. So somehow the stem cells were actually able to expand to quite a big spectrum of the business, but we choose to focus into stem cells. And so far we are looking at Series A raise, and I was closing that round. Probably by next month we should be able to close a Series A of 40 million raise for this company. And we are looking at going public in less than 2 years' time because the evaluation is going so high. Most likely to be listed in NASDAQ. Gary, I may be talking to you later, closer to the date, because of a very high evaluation, because we saw that most of the stem cells of biotech company in the US are still doing stage 2 clinical research, but their evaluation has really gone above, 800 million and near to 1 billion, without any product ready to go into the market. On our side, we have really got 6 products ready to go into the market, and is really treating some of our clients using it. So that gave us a lot of confidence that, regardless whether the pandemic is continuing or not, the need of people wanting to feel younger and recover and regenerate and repair their organs internally, the need for that is going to be ongoing. So to answer your question, Mru, I'm very excited to be part of this journey in terms of moving to the health care and wellness sector. We are looking into therapies that could help older people that are recovering from strokes to recover. So not only we are looking into treatment, but using cellular cell treatment, we're also looking into the rehabilitation sort of services, because we feel that as people are moving older, they need this sort of service, and it's very hard to find it in Southeast Asia.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. And I'll come back to you with some questions because Gary and me, we had a fireside and we talked at much greater depth on that as well, but we'll cover different angles. But going on from your stem cell preventative to even repair kind of solutions, because we don't like to live to 120 years and party together as well as we've done before. Dmitry, if I could bring you in, Dmitry, I know you're doing a lot of stuff, and we've had a chat as well on the longevity side of things, from space-related, NASA-related technologies where people have all these aging-related issues, to how to slow it down, to even eradicate that. Let's see your view and some of the things you are doing in that to make sure that the longevity from the aging side is also being addressed on top of what stem cell is doing.
Yes. Hello, everybody. My great pleasure to be here today. So I'm a co-founder and managing partner of Deep Knowledge Group, and we are focused on deep science projects, but first of all, on applications of artificial intelligence for healthcare, drug discovery, preventive medicine, and longevity. Longevity as a science and business and technology requires, it is the most advanced deep tech. So when we are speaking about deep tech, there's a lot of sectors of deep tech. But to provide actual life extension of healthy period of life to any given person, they require not only most advanced biomedical research, but also quite a lot of integration with other technologies, including data science, artificial intelligence, and multiple others. Of course, stem cells and gene therapies, there's a lot of compounds required for that, but this is the forefront of deep tech. So you cannot address longevity without multiple other compounds. Now, before this business, I was in fintech business, and in 1 year from now, we are launching a longevity bank, because with COVID pandemics, many people understood that what really makes sense in their life. What is what is the most precious asset? Health is the most precious asset beyond anything else, and that's why health is the new wealth. And I'm quite sure that in the next several years, we'll see a lot of fintech, advanced fintech solutions integrating with health, health tech, insurtech, insurance for, healthcare insurance. So in 1 year from now, we are launching longevity bank. Most likely it will be in Switzerland with light banking license, because their legal framework providing such opportunities. Maybe it might be also Singapore. So let's say there are some jurisdictions. In 2 years from now, we're aiming to launch in London longevity investment bank. This investment bank will use much more next generation framework for investment decision process, with focus on data science and again deep tech. Whereas our investment arm, Longevity Capital, recently provided financing for longevity banking card based in London. So this is MasterCard, which is providing access to longevity marketplace, but again in the form of fintech solution. So once again, in my view, COVID, besides the tremendous tragedy for many people, on the other hand, in terms of business, it's accelerated investment into biotech and healthcare. And many companies during 2020, during pandemics, the biotech industry attracted the biggest amount of investment compared to any previous years. So that's why this kind of becoming a little bit, some beneficial effect for biotech industry and healthcare, especially with focus on preventive medicine. Whereas to go back to this point about digital banking and future of digital banking, I think that in the next several years we'll see a lot of new solutions in the new paradigm, whereas wealth is not the most precious asset, whereas health is much more precious, and there will be more and more platforms and advanced fintech digital solutions will focus to deliver people something more valuable just than some discounts or some kind of additional interest rate on their accounts. So something more valuable for them in terms of their health, maybe maybe some incentives how to incentivize them to live more healthy lifestyle. Many insurance companies are doing this now, but this is just 2 steps.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Dimitri. And I know we've talked about this as well, where these technologies already that exist that help you monitor your whole body condition and does various generative AI-based, deep learning-based implementations, whereby it will then integrate with, as you say, the insurtech, the health tech communities, and live feed some of this, where we see this online medical as well as insurance and health-based, diet-based technologies all integrated to provide people not only a better lifestyle, but preventative medical conditions through to even early warning signals. So that is a very exciting place as well to be at. Let's take it on again then from the health side to see where this AI and the whole use of quantum technologies and what I call deep learning kind of generative things as well, generative ways of doing things like even facials are coming on, where you could even mimic I don't want to put a plug on my colleagues from NVIDIA, but they have this GAN programs where they actually use quantum computing that you can even look at faces and redo voices that an average eye will not be able to spot. So client services, even for the whole area, for providing all these services using AI, deep learning, quantum computing based stuff, will happen in a fraction from all sorts of analytics by just looking at you. So Gary, if you can explore or discuss, I know we've talked about this quite a lot, pick up the AI, quantum computing, how that is helping people and lifestyle based on what both Gary and both Dmitry and Rico has already mentioned.
Yeah, so I mean, let's put it in perspective of where we are. A lot of people don't understand the quantum computers, but let's paint a little bit of a picture. And so imagine a computer that's 100 million times faster than a supercomputer today. A computer that can perform what would take a supercomputer 10,000 years in 200 seconds. And that's not a fast one. So we're talking about massive amounts of compute power. Then we look at things like semi-supervised and unsupervised artificial intelligence. And quite frankly, Mru, we look at our lives, right? We're surrounded by data all around. There are 40 zettabytes of data on the planet Earth today. That's enough if we took CDs and stacked them one on top of another, it would go 29 times back and forth to the moon. That kind of data. Now let's look at ourselves and look at where things are going. And then let's look at our environment. It's kind of interesting. We talk about quantum computers, but at the same time, we couldn't get a roll of toilet paper during the pandemic. Now, what's wrong with that picture, right? It's amazing. Why? Because we don't have transparency in the supply chain. Why? Because we didn't have the right kind of systems, artificial intelligence systems in place to be able to do that. The other thing is we were fundamentally flawed. We talked about just-in-time inventory. Well, we didn't forecast the demand quite the way we should have. So a lot of issues, ventilators, masks. And so now we are in a dawn of a new era. AI is the new electricity. Think about what happened at the beginning of the 20th century when Nikola Tesla and Westinghouse started to massively push electricity, alternating current, and how our lives changed over the next 30 years. Think about it. The farm changed. People moved into cities. Healthcare changed. So massive impact. Now let's fast forward to today. So now the situation, and I worked on a paper 6 years ago, and I've written quite a few articles. I've written like 120 some articles in the last year. One of my articles, one of the papers that I did 6 years ago was living to 120. Before, not a lot of people were talking about it. And I called it health extensions. So what does that really mean? And stem cells, 100%, Rico's on target. In fact, Rico, I talked to the Stem Cell Institute. That was a name I wanted to tell you yesterday, Mru, is a Stem Cell Institute in Panama.
In Panama. I did look them up, by the way.
Yeah, so I got that from Mel Gibson. So his dad went down there, just FYI.
In the Ukraine, you could find out.
So anyhow, not to plug them, I'm just saying it. It's very, very interesting. I love it. And so where we are today is we need to monitor, it's odd. Think about it. We go to a doctor once a year. So let's think, we go into the doctor, the next day cancer starts, but it's not 360, it's 364 more days until we go to the doctor again. Think about systems, smart pills, systems that can automatically understand where we are, nanobots within our bodies to be able to tell us exactly where you are and help us course correct. The challenge, look at it, when I work with cobotics, look at the surgeries, how much different surgery is. Look at computer vision and melanoma. So we are in a dawn of this incredible year. Now, at the same time, and I write about compassionate artificial intelligence. And I've been writing a lot about it lately because we ought to take a real good look at what we're doing. We're training things. You don't want to train a child, right? Now you've got all these items inside of you. What about security? Cybersecurity. Now imagine, I had a 4-star admiral on my show a few weeks ago, and he said, the next war will be fought by somebody's flipping a switch. So when we're going down through this journey, we've got a great opportunity to be able to extend our lives in all kinds of ways. I was on a panel recently in Europe for PharmaVision with drug discovery, not using bench time, but modeling. This was at the beginning of the pandemic. And it was amazing to me that some of the top pharmaceutical companies in the world who were already using AI to do modeling, we're talking about, it was still a debate, right? Because you still have the folks on the bench. We need to look at this. We have had 1 year of a digital transformation. McKinsey said a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, that 92% of the companies in the world were going through the digital transformation. Look at where we are right here. 5 years ago, when I was one of the early users of Zoom, people were laughing at me. I would send a Zoom link out. They said, why do I want to use Zoom? I have Skype. I have WhatsApp. I'm using Messenger. Well, guess what? Now Zoom's like Xerox. And so we've now got technologies at our disposal that are going to change everything. Yes, we had a push forward over the last year, but that push has changed everything. Now we feel a lot more comfortable going online. Think about telemedicine, right? It was before you had to go in the doctor's office. Those times have changed. We can get the best opinion from anywhere at any time. Here we are. Rico's down. Are you in Malaysia? I don't even know where you are today. Malaysia today. But I mean, here we are, right? Russia, Romania, Macedonia, I don't know, Moldova, just now, Dmitry. So, I mean, but we can be all over at any time. This is going to change things for us. So in terms of us, what is it? You're right. And I'm a clinical psychologist in addition to a businessman. So one of the things that we look at our brain, right? We've got synapses in our brain. We've got myelin sheaths around neurons. Imagine having incredible stem cell technology that can go in and change that. But we got to have the data. The body processes 60,000 complex transactions, the mind, per day. Now, what we need to do is look at how we can understand that data, make sense of it. Think about gene editing and genomes. Again, I wrote an article a few weeks ago about that. We can slice out some of those diseases, but we got to know exactly where to slice. We got to understand the permutations and combinations because you don't want to get it too short and you don't want to get it too long. So this era is in front of us. Our eyes are open. We're moving into an incredible journey that all of us can partake. We have now a challenge, though, in AI, which AI can help solve, is what I'm calling infobesity. We are inundated with data. So whether it's a medical profession, with supply chain, manufacturing, everywhere. Smart cities this morning, I was on a panel, same thing. We are inundated. How do we make sense of the data? How can that help us analyze the data? And more importantly, how can we course correct and predict what's going to happen next? That's where unsupervised AI can help.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Gary. Yeah, and we talked about this not only yesterday, but even if you remember in the late 90s, when we started that whole .com Java thing, we were saying data is king, data will become your product. and people are saying, what are you talking about? And look at it now, it's already happened 20 years on. We'll cover some of that later, but
Exactly.
you know, and we talked, you know, with Scott and his vision about this, but you know, the 40 zettabytes that you mentioned today, you know, again, depends on whose stats you look at it. Is it 30? Is it 40? Is it 50? But the growth of all that data is between 60 and 70% per year. And the processing of that is crazy. You know, we have this mobile phone, and it's still more than what the whole World Wide Web had in the 90s on our mobile. And we still ask, you know, the Ricos and Sergey, what was that Zoom event we had to, please send it again? Or what was that PowerPoint presentation? Send it again. And we keep doing this because there is no good AI way of doing this. So the people who are going to go forward, one of the disruptors, I talk about the 10 Ds a lot. One of the disruptors are whoever does data management, data analytics, the whole AI, ML, defensive tech, and reinforced tech, people who manage to do that analytics, to even, you know, when quantum computing really comes to the fore in the next 4 or 5 years, I think, you know, you will just be able to talk and say, find me this, where is this, where is that? And all that complex zettabytes will be processed in seconds. And again, depends who you talk to. Within that 5 years, you know, I hear figures of 175 zettabytes to 200 zettabytes. That is a lot of data. You know, you mentioned
Mru,
9 times, but how do you process it? So based on that, sorry, Gary, what I would like to see is, we've got the health and all the genome stuff that we've talked about with stem cells, and Dmitry also talking about the longevity and the processing of it. You talking about the AI and quantum computing side of it. How do we see, you know, maybe a question to Rico, how do you see, because Asia, in my view, and China specifically with their quantum computing and deployment of blockchain is really, in my view, quite ahead of what's happening in America, to be honest. You know, not many people accept it, but in terms of the blockchain and quantum computing side, it is quite ahead. And the whole fintech side of that integrated system. How do you see the deployment of that happening in Asia first, before the Silicon Valleys and all the other UK and other countries just say, you know what, we'll take some of this and they take it on from there? How do you see it over there?
I would say I'm not the best person to talk about this, especially in quantum computing. And today, I think I learned a lot more about this topic after hearing from IBM, Quantum, Mark, and like SIA partners, all the big boys who have been in the quantum business for more than 30 years.
We can ask Gary to cover that.
I'm sure Gary can understand me better, because the statistics shown today in terms of investment in quantum was actually booming in, you know, all the strongest and biggest country in the world, USA being #1. And China is still lagging behind in terms of the amount of money they're investing into quantum. And
what I think they're looking at the next stage of it. You know,
they're looking at the next stage of it, and China announced that they're putting in the next 5 years, you know, much more focus into 7 areas into deep tech. And definitely artificial intelligence is one of them. During my opening speech, I mentioned that. And they are looking to boost another 10%, 7 to 10% investment into deep tech sector. This is coming from China for the next 5 years. They just proved it last week in the highest level assembly. So what about the rest of the countries around it, and how much quantum, you know, perfect cubic power have they got? And how much volume, in terms of quantum volume, they can they have in the next 2 to 5 years or 10 years? How much hardware do we need to build in order to have, you know, that sort of computation power? I think that's very crucial, not only for certain countries, but for the whole world, because that one particular country that has this capacity is going to overrule the other countries in terms of their processing power. And the way things work, if you guys in US have that power to calculate things that fast, and we are still using classic computing power,
And you know, I mean, Rico, what I was thinking of is also how in China, every person is monitored from facial recognition into a central system. And they monitor every single place they go, who they meet, who they cross. I mean, that is serious computing as well. For 1.5 billion people, that is not a small joke, right? Gary, would you like to add to that? You've disappeared.
Yes, Gary, we need you on that.
Yeah, Gary, you disappeared on the video. Dmitry, maybe you can add. Oh, there it is.
I'm here. I had to grab something to drink. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, not a problem.
Yeah, so the question about the quantum computers, what was the question?
So where do you see the quantum computing tech being deployed at the scale that we are talking about? Not only for, you know, doing the data analytics side of it. So in China, it could be facial recognition. Who is the person you've come in contact with closest to? Everyone gets alerted, right through just people walking around, through to even people not even doing this tap and go payments. It will soon be through facial recognition ways, so you don't even have to do the tap and go. So all these are being deployed in a country with, you know, 1.5 billion people. So how do you see the next level going in the quantum world to accelerate to, dare I say, the Western world, to take it to even a bigger level?
In the situation is, it goes back to, you know, the one thing, Mru, what you said is right on point. And I just want to add, this will add to the quantum piece that I'll discuss, but each one of us here has about 300,000 items within their personal cloud. The entire World Wide Web in 1996 was 257,000 websites. The amount of information you have doubles every year. In 5 years, it'll be 10 million items. Think about every day, and here we are, we're all in technology. How many times a week do you say to yourself, I know that file exists, but I can't find it? Why have you forgotten the keyword or forgotten a location? WhatsApp, where did you send it? I don't remember getting it. Can you send it again? We just said that earlier. This is exactly indicative of the kind of challenges and reason that we need to have quantum computers, right? And so what happened is, with this massive amount of data from everywhere, we need to be able to synthesize that data. And it's going to be to a point in another 7 to 10 years, we don't have the compute capability to be able to do it. That's one side of quantum. The other side is, I got to tell you, and this is a concerning side, is that the geopolitical consequences of quantum computers, and I'm working on cybersecurity and quantum proofing systems, it's a real big hurdle, because everything we have, including ourselves, will be connected together. And imagine having that switch to flip it off. And this is I had a 4-star admiral, the #2 guy in the Joint Chiefs of the U.S. military, on my show a few weeks ago. And we had this discussion. And he wasn't trying to raise the alarm. It's like, we need to work together to solve other kind of problems, you know. And so where quantum is going to come in is to deal with this massive amount of data in all kinds of different ways.
Great. Let's look at Sergey. He's looking a bit lost over there. Sergey?
Yes, guys, please. I want to.
Let me ask you something. I thought you were monitoring the video and all that, as you usually do. Here's an angle for you, Sergey. As a user and in Russia.
No, please. I want to ask on the question.
You ask a question. Wait, let me give you an opinion. I want to see your opinion.
Yes, I'm talking about quantum computing as is, because I'm personally been engaged in a project which are done quantum resistant protocol, and they are done in a proof of quantum resistant, because what we see in a very near future, when quantum computers appear somehow, our all, how I'd say, crypto coding or crypto encoding stuff on SHA 256 protocol, all of that being somehow disrupted because of Shor and Grover algorithm. But what we have now already done, we have so many talk about quantum, but quantum in physics do not exist as we can imagine. But what we done for sure, now we have ability to transfer just one photon from one place to another. and it gives much more security in our lives. If we now on our communication do not want interfere any kind of human, any kind of even, I don't know, machine, we can be ensured on that if we are just sending one photon from another, because when you're trying to interact, you have to see that photon from your side, and then I see that someone comes in, and it's the right point now where quantum physics is my point of view. I'm being engaged in this stuff so deeply. That's why I'll be very interested.
Thank you, Sergey, for that point. Very, very well put. Coming on to that quantum side of things now, Dmitry, in terms of the whole longevity side and the fintech integration side of it for preventative and cure types of medical work, how do you see this being deployed in the real world?
For entire longevity industry, there is one crucial bottleneck. There are required very tangible, very precise metrics, what is beneficial and what is not beneficial for longevity, because currently most of the people relying on a lot of marketing bullshit delivered by multiple wellness or, just let's say not relevant at all producers of some kind of creams or I don't know, food supplements, which in the best case scenario, they are not, they're plausible, they're not beneficial. In many cases, they are providing some micro side effects, which are accumulated with the years, and eventually it's not good for health. Most people are relying on the opinion of some doctors, which themselves do not have precise metrics to measure. So they have some intuition based on their previous education as a doctors. In reality, this is again nothing to do with extension of healthy period of life. For that to deliver that actual products, more of it in the form of products which can be somehow tied with financial products, with insurance products, with some kind of derivatives, I would say, so structured financial products. There shall be developed, and by the way, they are not now currently in development, very precise metrics, because in many other industries, many other sectors, there are such metrics. In particular longevity, there is yet problem of this so-called biomarkers of aging and longevity. Of course, all that markers, they will be integrated with, they are not possible to monitor and to extract the data and to provide some insights, and especially with some predictions without artificial intelligence. More of it, of course, deep learning should be applied, because just simple machine learning will be not enough. However, indeed, facial recognition is very important stuff for that, because now facial recognition algorithms can very well provide some let's say outcomes, positive or negative, of some medical, let's say, issues, but at the same time treatments which can provide some positive effect. This is indeed being empowered by more stronger AI systems, which will be reinforced by abundance of data, and this will create self-inducing cycle of much greater precision of monitoring, detection, prevention, and providing by the doctors, actually by the experts in health, more precise recommendations about not precision medicine, which is the current forefront of biomedicine, but what could be named precision health. For precision health, there will be required more precise tools for measurement, but precision health can be very well integrated with fintech, with insurtech, with multiple financial products, and again, to actually create some kind of self-inducing cycles, because people willing to live longer, healthy lives, they will absorb more financial products, which will provide them more protection in terms of financial longevity. Because if people are actually planning to live longer, for example, up to 100 years or 120 years, they need to have also, some money for that longer period of time.
In terms of time frame, when do you see that at least 70% delivered?
90% of that delivered will be in 2 years from now.
You think 2 years? Well done. Great. Okay, we've got about 5-6 minutes left. We got 5-6 minutes left. Let's do a quick 1 or 2 minute closing remarks, and then I'll put together a summarized visionary thing, how we see the world going forward. Rico, would you like to kick off? Quick 1-2 minute closing
Yes,
remarks.
I believe that through the pandemic, I think we were not so ready. And I think after about 7-8 months later, I think everyone starts looking at deep tech and how to process the data in terms of preventive and management of the pandemic. So I think that itself is one of the positive things that came out from this pandemic. Secondly, I believe that a lot of research will be done in the space to make our life on Earth better. A lot of research has been done to, investigate and experimenting things moving out of Earth and how can human be, global and space traveler. At the same time, a lot of research has been done by having humans testing all kinds of diseases treatment in the space as well. So that itself will be a sort of new deep tech that is basing on different law of gravity and everything outside on the space would change the way human interact and get treated as well. And so that itself, I think, is one of the deep tech sector that almost every country, especially the first top 10 countries, are looking into, I think, post pandemic.
Right, thank you. Gary, quick 1-2 minutes closing remarks.
Yeah, so, when we talked about this, I mean, we understand, just keep it simple, stupid time. We understand that there's a massive amount of data, and just in drug research, think about the sheer size of the various molecules that are available. And I've written a recent article about this in Forbes. So now imagine that we can use a quantum computer to look at these simulations and comparisons for drug development initiatives. So imagine how we could really push the boundaries of medical research. As you said, it's all about the data, right? We just have massive amounts of data. We need to this is keep it simple, right? We have data, we need to process it. Quantum allows us to do it in a more efficient manner. That's it.
Thank you, Gary. Dmitry, closing remarks?
I think I said,
1 minute.
idea, but my point probably quite simple. The most pressured asset it is health. We shall aim precision health. Precision health can be achieved with quite advanced AI techniques being applied to human body.
Well done. Thanks. Sergey, would you like to say something? Closing remark?
Yes, yes, would be great. Because what I see COVID as not as a disaster. COVID bring us in a difficult situation, and when human being in some kind of difficult situation, he trying to find the right way to go out, and the closest way to be here, to be digitalized somehow. No one, I can assure, no one even can imagine that all that events, all that changing will be done in this way. No one can imagine. But now we see that this opportunity we do not going to lose. It gives so much profits and so much chances to be on another world. And I see that all regulations do not be here applied somehow. It has to be find another way to find a way to communicate with each other. And for the beginning, we have to test it with each other. And only after that, going to make all our mistakes being regulated, be done under the law, all that bullshit stuff happening around us. It's my point of view, and I want to live in that world.
Thank you, Sergey. So let me wrap up and take us all through a summary and vision thing. So 20 odd years ago, when internet started, that was a big game changer, which helped everything happen. And I know Gary and me, we go back from those days with Sun Microsystems when we started it. And I'd written a paper of my cradle to grave vision. So in those days, and I'm sure Gary will remember, Scott used to hang around with this Java ring with a chip inside the ring. And I used to hang around with a bracelet, with the Java chip inside. And what we could do with that is we could go inside our car parks. We even did a trial with BMW and a Mercedes to open the doors of the car, start the car just as a pilot prototype. And then right the way through to how you enter the building, how you pay for your coffee or your lunch, how you can load your salary on it, which room you can go into, how you even switch on your computer where you left it last. So we believed in that network is the computer. And to cut that vision short in that paper, what I'd said is the cradle to grave. With that, you can even put Java applets. And we said in 1999, 2000, those applets will monitor anything you want from your heartbeat, pulse, all these things which now have become smart watches. We said we could pay things for it, which is now mobile wallets or even rings, which we have. Again, 20 odd years ago, we said the same thing. You could monitor not only your health, but your banking and your finances. Now, smart wallets. We said we could log into systems, so access devices happen. So in this COVID times, doing papers, I've also written my 6th book, I think it is now. I've done the next cradle to grave, and some of the things you've touched is that vision. So how we will have that same device, could it be bracelet, ring, watch, whatever it is, which is monitoring your health from a preventative basis, right the way through to alerts of your heartbeat's low, your blood sugar is low, your cholesterol levels high. All this kind of technologies will come on right the way through to alerts of access devices, payment systems, right the way through to, I see, until you die, how your inheritance will be split, because what AI, quantum computing, and even blockchain brings is you've written where your will is going to be. No one can tamper it, no fraudulent activities. You can go in and out of countries, all through that massive contactless way of doing business, transportation, and all that. So without data, data is king. We all say it for so many years. Without that and the processing of it, we've all touched on it. That is going to be the game changer with blockchain and digital currency now, because why carry paper? Why carry your data? Why carry your passports? Why carry all that medication? Why carry your medical records? You should be able to go into any hospital, any place, and know exactly what your medical records are all about, you know, rather than having to wait on a life and death scenario. So that's where I see that vision going, and I hope we can deliver it, and I think we will within the next 5 years. And with that, I'd like to now say thank you to Rico, Dmitry, Gary, and Sergey. And I look forward to chatting you all again and again and again. Thank you, guys.
Thanks a lot. Pleasure.